Tawjihe online. Baby. She will look after your baby well. She's reliable, responsible, and completely idealistic. Back. I'm completely fed up with people gossiping behind my back. She was carrying the baby on her back. Bad. Is artificial intelligence good or bad for children? Bag. Paper bags. Ball. When he was younger, Hamza used to play basketball. Base. On. Around a third of consumers say that they base their buying decisions on ethical practices, so providing an opportunity to buy fruit and vegetables plastic-free could help you to win over a large number of new customers. B. Not get a word in edgeways means to be unable to say anything because someone else is talking all the time. AI search engines do not always use reliable sources, and so information provided by AI might be incomplete or even wrong. B. As Time magazine argues in its article in July 2023, unless we start to control how we use AI, kids will be the biggest losers. Advances in robotics and artificial intelligence will not only reduce the number of unskilled jobs available, but will also eliminate semi-skilled jobs which can be done by a computer. B. We will also need to produce more food, and it is unlikely that we will be able to produce enough meat to feed all those people without further damaging the environment. Are you ready yet? The guests will be arriving soon. It's almost 7 o'clock. You need good hearing too, because if someone is trapped in a building, you need to be able to hear them shouting. Pronouns. I, he, she, it, you, we, they. Verbs to be. I am. He is. She is. It is. You are. We are. They are. I am a student. He is a student. She is a student. It is a cat. It is a message. It is a book. You are a student. You are a student. You are students. We are students. They are students. I was a student a few years ago. He was a student a few years ago. She was a student a few years ago. It was a cat. I thought it was a cat that ran away, but it seems it wasn't. You were a student a few years ago. You were students a few years ago. We were students a few years ago. They were students a few years ago. Verbs to be. I have been a student for a few years. He has been a student for a few years. She has been a student for a few years. It. Spring has been much wetter than average. You have been a student for a few years. You have been students for a few years. We have been students for a few years. They have been students for a few years. Beat. Scientists have found that to pink noise can improve deep sleep. Ocean waves, waterfalls, heartbeats, and even traffic are natural examples of this type of noise. Listening to pink noise is safe. By the time I'm 25, I'll have beaten top players in the world. Beautiful. It's no accident that the symbol of the Worldwide Fund for Nature is a giant panda. These animals are cute or beautiful, or both, and of course we all want to save them. Because. How could a young English woman with no scientific training possibly make contact with a group of wild chimpanzees? At first, the animals ran away as soon as they saw her. But maybe because she knew very little about these wild animals, it is highly likely that her calmness gained their trust. Become. Since the invention of the mobile phone and the Internet, the world has become a different place. People are still sending messages, and it usually takes only seconds to deliver them. Bed. I like reading in bed. Why do you think Fagin gave Oliver food and a bed to sleep on? Before. Oliver decided to escape to London but had no food and went hungry for days, before he met another boy called Jack Dawkins. Before. Before letting it loose, she attached a note which carried the message "Peace returned" to Laura Buxton together with her address and phone number. She went with her mother to the shores of Lake Tanganyika in Tanzania to start her new job, and it was not long before she made out a group of chimpanzees in the trees around an area now called the Gom Stream National Park. Before. Social media is a good thing because young people have more friends in more places than ever before. Do you agree? Before you begin, make notes about what you liked, didn't like. To begin with, you have to be flexible, because you might have to argue for something you don't even agree with. It's a good idea just to try and come up with lots of different arguments to begin with. Beginning. How does she make the beginning of her talk memorable and engaging? Behave. To behave in a silly way equals to mess about. Behavior. Jane went on to write a number of books about her work. As well as explaining chimpanzees' highly developed social behavior, she taught us that they are omnivores. People used to think they were vegetarian. In 2002, she became a UN messenger for peace. Behind. I'm completely fed up with people gossiping behind my back. Believe. At this time, people believed that only humans could use tools, but Jane watched chimpanzees using sticks to take ants from a tree, and then used the sticks to feed the ants to their young. To show that Americans don't believe fiction. Believe. A father and son from Yared tried out their device to protect swimmers from shark attacks. You won't believe what happened next. Benefit. How could you further improve your emotional intelligence? What could be the benefits? Best. Don't worry too much about making a favorable impression. Often the best way to strike up a conversation is simply to comment on the weather. Better. Without a doubt there are some challenges, but there are also examples of when the internet has changed someone's life for the better. Between. But although some of the more intelligent animals can figure out what we want them to do, we have long assumed that communication with, and between, animals must be limited. Many people today feel that relationships between members of the same family are not as close as they were a few generations ago. Shakespeare appears to have invented between 2,000 and 3,000 words. Beyond. It was in the 1800s that gastronomy began to emerge as a field of study that went beyond food preparation and simple enjoyment. They crossed the mountains and traveled to the valleys beyond. Don't stay there beyond midnight. The switch on the wall was beyond the baby's reach. Big. What about those creatures that many people would find positively ugly? With its tiny eyes, big mouth, and slimy pink body, the blobfish is far from attractive. Biggest. As Time magazine argues in its article in July 2023, unless we start to control how we use AI, kids will be the biggest losers. Billion. By 2075, the population of the world will have risen to more than 9 billion. A bit. I'm a bit tired. We need a bit more time. Your article is a bit too long for our paper. I'm feeling a bit blue. Black. The orangutan and black rhino are critically endangered, which means they are facing a very high risk of extinction. Blue. I'm feeling a bit blue. The blue whale is critically endangered. Board. On board. At the turn of the 20th century, bottles were found which had been sent by people who were traveling on board the Titanic. Body. Body language, such as nodding, can demonstrate that you are listening. Book. She's writing a book about her travels in China. They bought me a book for my birthday. This book was first published in 2023. Born. Read the text again and choose the correct answers. Why was Oliver sad to leave the house for orphans? A. It was where he was born. B. The orphans helped each other. C. He had plenty to eat there. Both her parents are doctors. Both of them are doctors. They are both doctors. Both sides are keen to reach an agreement. Box. We ate a whole box of chocolates. Boy. Oliver decided to escape to London, but had no food and went hungry for days, before he met another boy called Jack Dawkins. He showed Oliver the way to the city. Break. Sorry about breaking your favorite mug. I'll buy you a new one, I promise. Do you find it easy or difficult to break the ice with people you don't know? Bring. Bring your friend to the party. Going online can be seen as a way of bringing families together as well as a distraction. Brought. She brought some toys to the children. Brother. My brother is always showing off. My brother gets attention for being great at school, and my sister is the clown of the family. Me? I'm not really sure what my role is. I'm certainly the peacemaker when my brother and sister argue. Build. When developers released a statement that they were going to build a luxury new hotel at the local beach, everyone in the town was very excited. Built. What other things will be built as well as the hotel? Building. Acid rain damages buildings, forests, and kills fish. Business. The phone rings all the time now that we run a business. Reports also suggest Arabic and Spanish will be important languages to do business in. So, I am planning to set up a small business recycling and customizing denim. But they later admitted that the reports were not true, but by that time, sales of the newspaper had increased dramatically. The allegations against him are shocking, but he denies all of them. But how could a young English woman with no scientific training possibly make contact with a group of wild chimpanzees? At first, the animals ran away as soon as they saw her. But maybe because she knew very little about these wild animals, it is highly likely that her calmness gained their trust. But although some of the more intelligent animals can figure out what we want them to do, we have long assumed that communication with, and between, animals must be limited. But advances in robotics and artificial intelligence will not only reduce the number of unskilled jobs available, but will also eliminate semi-skilled jobs which can be done by a computer. Buy. Sorry about breaking your favorite mug. I'll buy you a new one, I promise. Around a third of consumers say that they base their buying decisions on ethical practices, so providing an opportunity to buy fruit and vegetables plastic-free could help you to win over a large number of new customers. Requests. Buy me the newspaper, could you? Buy. Much of this plastic is a result of unnecessary packaging. It is vital that this is reduced as much as possible. Some supermarkets have managed to cut the amount of plastic packaging by using sustainable cardboard instead of plastic, or simply by removing unnecessary plastic from tissue boxes, pizza boxes, and other items. I would ask you to investigate alternative forms of packaging for your products as a matter of urgency. Buy. They later admitted that the reports were not true. But by that time, sales of the newspaper had increased dramatically. In the past, temperature changes were gradual and caused by natural factors such as solar activity and volcanic eruptions. By lunchtime yesterday, I had already drunk 3 bottles of water. Buy. Even if we assume that only 3% of the world's population fly, we must admit that such high percentage of global emissions is brought by a relatively small group. Buy. At the turn of the 20th century, bottles were found which had been sent by people who were traveling on board the Titanic. Advances in robotics and artificial intelligence will not only reduce the number of unskilled jobs available, but will also eliminate semi-skilled jobs which can be done by a computer. Buy. The threat faced by the pangolin, however, is far from accidental. They are more often targeted by poachers than any other animal in the world. Unique among mammals, it is covered in scales, like a reptile. Buy. The old woman glanced at the man and stopped as she was walking past. "Stop!" he bellowed again. Then, he grabbed her by the arm.